Hello, everyone. Please keep supporting Gene Valentino's Truth Podcast. We need our voice to get out there far and wide and help save our country. To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12 packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free.
We lead with this shocking news from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who announced her resignation from Congress. Take a listen to some of that message she had for us.
I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. Most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. The reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026.
You know, burning down the house on your way out the door just does not seem like the right way to go for someone who has benefited so greatly from the Republican Party. Now she's taking, I mean, anyway, I've got a lot of thoughts about that, but
yeah. I could agree with you more on that note, but we'll get into it. For more, let's bring in host of Grassroots Truthcast, Gene Valentino, and director of the CPAC Center for Regulatory Freedom, and host of The Lunch Hour with Federal Newswire, Andrew Langer. We're also joined in studio all morning by our special guest, senior policy analyst for CFACT and Republican strategist, Melanie Collette, and senior counsel at the Lawfare Project, Gerard Felitti. Good morning to you all. Great to have you. I'll start with you, Andrew. So why is Marjorie Taylor Greene choosing now to make her departure from Congress?
Well, I mean, this is the $64,000 question. I mean, she's had a rough few weeks, obviously, in her relationship with the president. I know if she truly is the fighter that we all thought she was, that I would have thought she would have stayed in, tried to find a way to mend fences with the president. But obviously, she feels like she is ultimately politically vulnerable. So she now is announcing that she wants to take her marbles and go home. Whether that serves her in the long run, who's to say? I just found it a shocking announcement on a Friday night in November.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were shocked there. But take a listen in. We know she was really hard on Republicans on her way out the door. She even, brought up the Epstein files, of course. Take a listen in. I want to get your thoughts, Gene.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
I mean, Gene, listen, everybody's disgusted by Epstein. I think the hoax is the Democrats and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, even to some extent, trying to tie the president to it when there's absolutely no evidence of that. Is this about Epstein files and children, or is this really about her trying to clear the slate when she can run for higher office? What do you think is going on here with MTG?
Well, I don't know about the latter, TW, but I do think the former has a lot of import. The fact of the matter is this is more of the same: divert, deflect, and distract. I think the opposition to Trump is in for a big surprise when they see a big nothing burger, nothing that ties Trump to the deal. What it's going to expose, and I think this is the unintended consequence, is the number of Democrats and others in business and industry that were doing inappropriate things with this Mr. Epstein over the years. This
Absolutely.
wasn't just a flash in the pan in 6 months. But I think, like you've been surprised the last 48 hours with Trump and Mamdani's visit,
yeah, for
I
sure.
think you'll be surprised again with what comes from the Epstein case.
I don't think I'll be surprised. I think there's a lot to be said there for sure, Gene. You're right. But Melanie, I want to get your thoughts. What's MTG's legacy here? I mean, obviously controversial figure, a very hard right-leaning person. Then on the way out the door, she starts siding with the Democrats. She's then against Trump. He endorses her, pulls back her endorsement. What's her legacy? What did she accomplish? And how history books going to remember her, if at all?
Well, what the press is saying is that her constituents still really love her. And I find that hard to believe if she's beefing with President Trump. And also, I'm sure she wasn't going to win a primary because he wasn't going to support her. But the word on the street has been for a couple of weeks that she wanted to run for governor of Georgia, and he wasn't going to support that. And that's really why she's mad.
Yeah, the president said that. He said that happened. Yeah.
And so, it's a shame that, you beef with leadership over one thing and you burn down the entire house. That's not the way a party and loyalty is supposed to work.
Good point.
Yeah, Gerard, what's your take on it? Because this also upsets the balance of power. I mean, the Republicans are up by such a slim margin. This could really have consequences.
It upsets the balance of power, but I don't think it really does because that's a safe Republican seat. So no matter when they hold the election to replace her, it will be held by the Republicans. The issue really here is that she is positioning for herself for something else, probably governor, because you don't go out kicking everyone on the way out unless you have that ambition to do something more and you're setting your messaging up for that.
Yeah, no lack of ambition with MTG.
That's
for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Well, pivoting here a bit, President Trump livid with those Democrat Congress members telling military members it's okay to disobey Trump's orders. So President Trump firing off multiple posts on Truth Social this week. Here is one of them saying, quote, "It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set." Andrew, what do you make of the video and the president's reaction?
Well, listen, I think obviously this is one of those attempts by the Democrats to further distract things from the president's agenda. People seem to forget that it was in the waning days of the Biden administration that Joe Biden and a deputy defense secretary signed an official order at the DOD authorizing the use of military force, lethal force against U.S. civilians. And so the question then becomes, okay, if Republicans had voiced their opposition to that and Republicans had done a video saying that you can refuse an illegal order in that regard, we know what the Democrats and the mainstream media, their outcry would be. Obviously, we have to take it within that context now.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, there's just no, there's no forgiveness for calling for what I think is a coup when you're telling members of the United States military not to follow the orders of the president. Here's what Caroline Levitt had to say about it. Listen in, Gene, and we'll get your thoughts.
The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging.
Gene, sedition, a coup. What do you make of her comments and the Democrats' reaction here?
Well, Caroline's right. Not only did Congress take an oath of office, but so did the tsunami, the new wave of enlistees into the United States military. And they did it with excitement, exuberance. They want to serve under this Donald Trump. And that does not speak to the fact that they need to be lectured on how to oppose their commander-in-chief in that setting of war. This is an absolute sedition act, and I think Donald Trump's reaction is legitimate. The problem is, why is anyone surprised?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just another example of Democrats trying to make Trump look bad.
I think you're right, Gene. Gerard, what are your thoughts? Is this sedition? Got about 20 seconds
It's
for you.
more than that. I wouldn't say it's sedition because there's no violence or threat of violence, but it is dangerous to our armed forces personnel. You have judge advocate generals who advise on proper military procedures. You have orders that can be questioned legally, but you cannot have members of Congress or anyone else interfering in the chain of command. It puts people at risk. It puts our personnel, our soldiers at risk.
And it's national security, right, Melanie? I mean, this isn't just some citizen on Twitter with a bad attitude. These are United States members of Congress. What are your thoughts? 20 seconds.
For sure, and they have no specific orders that they're making reference to when they're saying this, and that's what makes it even more disgusting. Like, he's eventually going to do something illegal, and that's why we're doing a video. It's insane.
Yeah, and all 6 of them served as well, so they should know better. But Gene Valentino, Andrew Langer, thank you guys, and see you next hour. And Melanie and Gerard, we'll see you back shortly.
Thanks, guys.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free.
This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great. I appreciate what you
Mr. President, you said you love me.
I mean, who knew? I mean, who knew what that meeting would actually produce? But for more, let's bring in host of Grassroots Truthcast, Gene Valentino, and director of the CPAC Center for Regulatory Reform, and host of the Lunch Hour with Federal Newswire, Andrew Langer. Welcome, guys.
Hey, it's great to be on.
Good morning.
So this was we've also got our special guests here, Gerard Felitti and also Melanie Collette for sure. But this was the kind of wild scene in the Oval Office with the Mamdani and Trump gushing over each other. Gene, what was your reaction to this bromance?
Well, another masterful stroke by the art of the deal by Donald Trump. The news, a lot of us in the media were thinking there was going to be some sort of adversarial confrontation between the two of them at some level. It did not happen, and it was because Donald Trump was the gentleman that most adversaries accuse him not being. He was, in fact, specific in his approach to look at what's important for we, not me. That's my takeaway. It's consistent with years of activity on his part. I'm surprised more haven't seen that distinction.
Yeah. It was somewhat refreshing, and they were even joking around. So take a listen to a reporter confronting Mamdani about calling Trump a fascist.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say
okay.
yes. So.
All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
Andrew,
so good.
I think that was my favorite moment of the entire press conference. Andrew, these guys, of course, are both leaders of their party. So can these relationships, or this particular one, help bridge the gap between the two sides, or is this likely to splinter?
I'm not sure if it can bridge the gap, but it definitely demonstrates, this meeting demonstrates that the Oval Office is the ultimate home court advantage. And I think Mamdani had no idea what he was getting into when he accepted this visit. Mamdani went to the White House. Donald Trump did not go to New York. And so the reality is that, Donald Trump essentially killed him with kindness. And Mamdani's gal has to answer for, you were in the Oval Office. How come you didn't call him a fascist to his face? It really blunts Mamdani's ability to engage in this fiery rhetoric, which he is known for. I think the meeting was a smashing success for the president.
I totally agree with that. But I want you all to listen to another notable moment that happened when a reporter asked Mamdani why he took a plane to Washington instead of going green and taking the train. Listen in and we'll get your thoughts, Melanie.
I will use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
Well, but I know, but it'd be fluid. That's a lot quicker too. I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you.
Yeah, Melanie, he didn't take the green way to get to Washington, D.C., did he?
Well, they never do because they're so super important, and what everybody else has to do isn't as important. And I love the way President Trump stepped in and defended him. He's really busy. He's got to get there really quickly. And I think that his socialist friends are going to really hate that, which is a little bit of icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, Gerard, what was your overall reaction? Because there's just so much to digest.
Look, it's Donald Trump being presidential. You get to meet with all sorts of people in the Oval Office. Not all of them are your friends. Not all of them are good people. But he showed that we can work together with people on the opposite side of the aisle, even if we don't agree with them. And maybe that's a message congressional Democrats should learn from.
Yeah, maybe Mamdani's going full MAGA. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But I also want to get to the latest late night drama. President Trump and Jimmy Kimmel trading jabs once again. Take a listen to Jimmy Kimmel trying to provoke the president.
Last night, the Angry Orange posted, "Why does ABC Fake News keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air." If you're watching tonight, which I presume you are, how about this? I'll go when you go, okay? We'll be a team. Let's ride off into the sunset together like Butch Cassidy and the suntan kid. And until then, if I may borrow a phrase from you, quiet, piggy.
I mean, Andrew, listen, this guy is no Johnny Carson for sure. Do you think he's just trying to stay relevant? I mean, what's happening with Jimmy Kimmel and the demise of the Tonight Show?
Well, listen, at the end of the day, right? I mean, none of them are Johnny Carson. You know, with Stephen Colbert's leaving, Jimmy Fallon is doing duets with Ariana Grande, who somebody needs to get her a sandwich. But none of them can hold a candle to Johnny Carson or David Letterman, to be fair. At the end of the day, right, this is Jimmy Kimmel doing what Jimmy Kimmel is trying to do to stay on the air and stay relevant, which is to poke at the president, because he knows if he pokes at the president, invariably the president's going to poke back, and that makes him stay in some way, shape, or form in the spotlight.
Good point.
That's just what Jimmy Kimmel's going to do.
Well, turning to this, President Trump announcing he is immediately terminating temporary protected status for Somali migrants in Minnesota, claiming that the state has become a, quote, hub of fraudulent money laundering activity and accusing Somali gangs of terrorizing local communities. Gene, what do you make of this move?
Yeah, now in terms of news time discussed, think of how serious that issue is compared to this silliness of the Epstein files and everything else. This is serious national security issue that is threatening to the nation on so many levels. And it varies from one area of the nation to another based on whether the local law enforcement, local administration is willing to step up and tackle it. Why is it it's ignored in the blue states as if it doesn't exist?
Such a good point. Well, Gene Valentino, Andrew Langer, we got to leave it there. Thank you for joining us this morning. Melanie and Gerard, we're going to have you back shortly.
Thanks, guys.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12 packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free.